To make these videos more practical and as practical as possible, I'd like to start with a working example. I'd like to write a function that asks for the test and coursework marks and returns a module mark. So let's just call it a module mark. Okay, and it's going to receive two pieces of information, a test score and a coursework score. Okay, now the purpose of this module mark is simply, and this builds on the previous week, is to return the module mark. But how do you calculate the module mark? Well, you add the test to the coursework. Okay, so that's the first piece of our jigsaw puzzle. We want to write a piece of code which will calculate the module mark, and the module mark is built by adding the test mark and the course mark. Okay, so we come to our main, and our main, if you've been paying attention to these videos, is where our program starts. So first of all, we're going to receive from a user, we're going to assume that we've got integers, right? So we do integer bracket. Now what you want to do is, while you're not just watch this video, but is to actually code it. This has been a repeated point. So what we want to have is the test mark. And we ask our user for a test mark, and I'm just putting in test receives the results of that input statement. I want to do the same thing for the coursework. I want the user to give me the coursework mark. So what I'll do is I'll copy and paste that line, do the same yourself, type in coursework, and then in the prompt for the second one, just say coursework mark. Right, so let's just test very quickly that we can receive that data. So we run it, file a script, no typos, hit main, and there we go. So it asks me for the 2 grades. At the moment, it doesn't do anything with it. So now what I want to do is run and test this bit of code, which calculates the module mark by receiving the 2 marks and returning them. And what we're going to do is we're going to place the result in a variable called module. And we're going to make it equal the name of our function module mark, and we need to pass it 2 pieces of information, the test and the coursework. I've deliberately kept all the names the same, so all I have to do is copy the variable name test coursework. Right, so this is what you need to do. That will essentially put into there the sum of those 2, because that's the job of this function here. Then we want a simple output statement. So what we can have is a print statement, and we say module mark. I'm keeping all the prompts really basic, okay? Put a comma in there and then give back the module mark. Okay, so let's test that now. Before I test it, what you need to do is, before you continue, is actually to code it. So if you get 34 and 45, your module mark is 79. Okay, nice and straightforward. So before we proceed with the actual concept that we're interested in, make sure that works. So pause here, copy that code, test your code works. Okay, so I'm assuming that you've done that, you've paused and you've arrived at this point. So now I've got a very interesting question. I want to say if that module mark is greater than 40, so let's just, I want to actually ask a question. If the module mark is greater than or equal to 40, I actually want to display a congratulations message. So I need a way of inserting that into my code. So if the module value is greater or equal to 40, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to translate the English into code and see where the errors are. Up to that point there, we calculated rather the module. Now I want an if statement. So let's just write an if statement. If the module, and I'm going to write it as I say, is greater than or equal to, now those 2 terms might have to flip around the other way, value 40, I use a colon, and then I would print congratulations. Right, that's nice and simple. Now observe how this if works. That's if I've typed it correctly, so pay attention to this, right? there's the variable name. Greater than or equal, that's the number it's comparing to. The colon works like this colon does. And then we indent the line underneath. Right, congratulations. Let's spell it correctly. Okay, so let's run it and let's see that work. First, just check if you've got any errors. And so far, no errors, right? No typos, so I hit main. Test mark is 12 and the coursework is, say, 42. Congratulations, the module mark is 54. So here we have introduced, we've got a bunch of input, we've calculated the module using this function over here, and then we've got a check to see if we want to congratulate them. So this introduces the first concept of a decision. This code allows us to only output this statement here if that condition is satisfied. What I would recommend you do is you code this and then move on to the next video.